Howdy, welcome back to Wobble Enjoy Sports. If you're new around here, hope I can get you to consider to like the content and subscribe to the channel. But if you're a regular around these here parts, thank you very much for the continuous support. Let's get stuck into round number 26 of the 2025 NRL season and talk about, in part, about the North Queensland Cowboys for the last time this season. Round 26 starts on Thursday night from Accor Stadium with a matchup that features a first grade team taking on a C Cup New South Wales Cup level side. Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs $1.08 taking on the Penrith Panthers, who are $8 coming into the contest. Only a month, maybe 6 weeks ago, we saw one of the best games of the season between these two sides, and Ivan Cleary has said, boys, we're going to sit this one out. We're going to have our bye week early. We're going to have our annual resting a week early instead of the last round. It will be this Thursday night. Going to leave some things hidden, keep close to our chests, and the Bulldogs are absolutely salivating at what is to come. Now, the Bulldogs, they could have dropped into fourth position. I don't think they were ever going to leave the top four, even though there's like a mathematical chance they could have, but that's not going to happen in any event. So Bulldogs, they will be top four. It's just what happens with that final slot. So in for the Bulldogs here, so we got Curran, Preston and Salmon as the back row. Viliami Kikau is a change. He is not going to play, so that is a bit of a loss. It is due to an infection, so he will be right come finals time for sure. Maybe he might sit out another week next weekend. The interchange now reads Mann, Tupanua, Soluka Fafita and Reid Marnie. You've got Karaz, Sherry, Crichton and Montoya filling in the back five. Now, out of due respect, of course, let me put some respect on these men's names. For the Penrith Panthers, these are the names that line up for them tomorrow night, Thursday night footy. Dane Laurie, McLean, Jesse McLean, and Paul Alamotti. That is the back three. The centres are Sione Fonua and David Farley. I think that's how you pronounce it. The halves, Jack Cole, Brad Schneider. The forward pack is Patea, Somerton and Diaz. The back row is Lipswich, Geyer and Eisenhuth. And the interchange is Luke, Preston Ricky, Riley Price, an ex-North Queensland Cowboy, the son of Steve Price, and Billy Phillips in jersey 17. So it is debuts galore on Thursday night footy between the Bulldogs and Panthers, particularly for the Penrith Panthers. With that being said, Bulldogs 13 plus. Friday night football, there are two matches, and game number one emanates from Go Media Stadium, the Warriors versus the Parramatta Eels. The Warriors, they are $1.58. The Parramatta Eels are $2.40. I genuinely think that that is good value on the Parramatta Eels, despite a crook performance a few weeks ago. They've been pretty solid for the better part of the past 6 weeks now, whereas the New Zealand Warriors, they're going at a nice rate of knots, but they're clearly a level or two below their best at the moment. But it was a good fight there from the Warriors for about 60 or 65 minutes there, and then they did shut up shop pretty early. Some of the changes here, so it looks like that no changes have been made for this game. I think Parramatta are an absolute sneaky chance. I think they're a dark horse chance to go over and get the dub against a Warriors side that might be looking a week or two ahead, maybe also playing within themselves, hoping not to get injured and whatnot. But I'll trust the Warriors and say that they win this game. But I think this will be a really fun game of footy. I'll say the Warriors 1-12. The second game on Friday night footy is from Amy Park, Melbourne Storm versus the Sydney Roosters. The Melbourne Storm, they're in this game at $1.69, whereas the Roosters, they are $2.18. Massive changes for both of these sides. The Melbourne Storm, we've got Kane Bradley, Marion Seve, Grant Anderson, Tuamulatu Brown as part of the back 4 with Pappenhausen at the back. Munster and Wishart remain as the halves. We've got Garlick in for Harry Grant, who's been suspended until week 1 of the finals. The back row is Blore, Chan and Liero. The interchange is Pezet, Lasati, Va'alepu and Nelson Asafa-Solomona. Will Warbrick has also been named on the reserves there for the Melbourne Storm. So someone like an Eli Katoa has been rested for this game. For the Sydney Roosters, it'll be Sandon Smith and Hugo Savala as the halves combination. Sam Walker suffering a concussion last weekend. Daniel Tupou comes back in to fill in the shoes of Tupou from last weekend. And the forwards here are relatively unchanged. Nofahu White is playing lock on Friday night. Interchanges Iowelu, Butcher, Fekete and Wong. And looking into the reserves here, I mean, Blake Steep is floating around in there, and so too is new North Queensland Cowboy recruit or signing for 2026, Ethan King. He is 18th player for the Sydney Roosters this Friday night. Last time these two sides met, it was an extraordinary game of footy. Harry Grant, the saviour, he's not here. However, Sam Walker is out of this game. Really interesting. Really, really interesting game of footy here. Really tough. Really tough game to pick. There's still tremendous amounts of class in that backline, but it is a less experienced backline in comparison to, I suppose, or maybe they're relatively even, the backlines. The forward pack battle, I think the Roosters look better on paper, but I don't know if it's the case. I reckon the Sydney Roosters can spring an upset. I know the Dolphins and Manly Seagulls, Sharks and Broncos fans just went, no, please no. But I think the Roosters can spring an upset. They nearly got them last time, and if it wasn't for Harry Grant, I think they might have got them. So now that Harry Grant's not there, and again, I just feel like the Melbourne Storm I'd say 3 times this year, I'd say that, wow, Melbourne Storm truly are a premiership threat. The other times it's like, yeah, they're going to be thereabouts, but I don't know yet. And I still really don't know if they will feature on grand final day just because how close the competition is. I'm going to say the Sydney Roosters go to Melbourne and win this game 1-12. Moving into the Saturday games, and match number 1 is from GIO Stadium. The Raiders take on the West Tigers. Raiders $1.21. The Tigers, they are $4.45. The Raiders need the Storm to lose. The Raiders need to win this game against the West Tigers to secure the minor premiership. If the Melbourne Storm win, then the Raiders need to win both of their remaining games for sure. But yeah, the Raiders, they'd be wanting to win the minor premiership. And going into the team, Savalio Tamale does return in this contest. He's going to be playing on the wing. Unfortunately, Xavier Savage is out for the rest of the season. For the forward pack, it's full strength for the interchange. It's Paddy, Sisangi, Smithies and Mariotta. And then looking over into the West Tigers now, Stafford Toa returns to play at centre. Luai and Latu Finu were the halves. Best of wishes to Adam Dewey, who suffered a facial fracture last Sunday. Coruscant, Pole, Finu, Sione Finu, Alex Twal, Heath Mason in 14, Hunt, Murray and Suka. I think this could be a really exciting game of footy. The Tigers, they're at 440 or thereabouts, whatever I said before, and I think they're going to make the Raiders sweat on this one, but I do think the Raiders, they're the best team in the competition. I think they'll account for the West Tigers, but I think this will be a pretty cool game of footy. And the Raiders, if they win and if the Roosters win in that scenario, they will lock up the minor premiership for 2025. What an extraordinary achievement that would be. So Raiders, I'm going to say this game finishes 1-12. The second game on Super Saturday emanates from Wynn Stadium in Wollongong, Dragons versus Seagulls. It is $1.92 each way. The bookies can not split them. Going into some of the team lists now, I think there's only one here for the Dragons. Let me go through it actually. So Gutherson, Tuapolotu and Sloan in the back 3, Buchanan and Matt Fengai, King Togia and Kyle Flanagan in the halves. The forward pack is Gula, Cook and Clemmer, Halangahu, Sua and Tabellin are the back row. The interchange is Little, Leilua, Sele and Pacifici Tonga. And now shifting into the Manly Seagulls, Kohler and Talau are the centres. The forward pack here, I think that's all relatively unchanged now. Shorp, Navale, Bullymore and Sipley round out the interchange for them. They met earlier this year. The Dragons beat them at 4 Pines Park. The Dragons are the bogey side for the Manly Sea Eagles. The Dragons will be stinging a big time after their performance against the South Sydney Rabbitohs, 40 odd points to nil, whereas the Manly Sea Eagles had a big win against the Dolphins in 4 Pines Park, where they defeated Dolphins about 58 points to 30. That was against the Dolphins side that I think ran out of steam last weekend, and I think the Dragons will bounce back. I'm going to back the Dragons here. I know there's no value in the head-to-head sort of thing. I get that, but I think they'll bounce back and win their last game of the year out there at, not Wynn Stadium in Wollongong. It's out at Cogra. So their last game at Jubilee Stadium for the year. I think the Dragons win this game 1-12. This Saturday, Queensland Country Bank Stadium is the site for the main event on Super Saturday. The North Queensland Cowboys take on the Brisbane Broncos in one of the best rivalry games in all of rugby league. The Cowboys, they are approximately $2.72. The Brisbane Broncos, they are about $1.46. There is a lot to play for. The first port of call is that they are wearing a Northern Lights jersey. Yeah, the gimmick is that it glows in the dark. I reckon it's a really cool jersey. I think it's a massive chance of being a Las Vegas jersey as well come kickoff for round 1 2026. Jordan McLean, it was announced today officially by North Queensland that he will be retiring from rugby league at the end of this year. It was tipped, but it's been made official now. I think it took a couple of years for McLean to acclimatise to Townsville, but from about 2020 onwards, I think he just went from strength to strength. I think he was absolutely awesome, and he is one of the better props that the club has ever had the joy of having. Ruben Cotter, co-captain, he plays his 100th game this weekend, and this is the last time that the boys will be seen for 2025. We are the first team to say sayonara to the NRL for season 2025. The boys will be hitting Mad Monday this weekend. Cowboys fans will be hopping on a boat. Some will actually be rowing towards Las Vegas because they can't afford the friggin' plane airfares. But yeah, that's it for 2025 after Saturday. We are the first team to disappear for the year. So that's sad, man. That's sad. It's just an extra week, I guess, throughout the off season where I'm going to be salivating to see them again in 2026. As far as team list news goes, let's go into the Cowboys here, and it looks like that it's all unchanged in the 1-7. The forward pack, McLean and Taumalolo, do start. The interchange reads Labour, Lawton, Edwards, and Kamikaze McKaylee. For the Brisbane Broncos, it is unchanged from 1 down through to 7. The forward pack is unchanged as well. However, there is an injury cloud under Payne Haas, so watch this space. In the interchange, Smoothie, Hetherington, Tolte, and Brendan Piakura as well. Also, Adam Reynolds, of course he would, but I don't think he will. Adam Reynolds has been named on the reserves here for the Brisbane Broncos. As I said on Instagram, as I've said a couple of times, I just want to enjoy the footy. I think that they absolutely can take down the Brisbane Broncos in a rivalry game, one of the best rivalry games in all of rugby league. Yeah, I think this is going to be an absolute blockbuster. I can't wait to see how these boys actually look glowing in the dark in the Northern Lights this Saturday. So, Cowboys, yeehaw, take them back to the friggin' ranch, and you guys are going to win this one 13+. Yeehaw. Moving into Sunday, Cronulla host Newcastle. Sharks are $1.11. Knights, they are $6.70. For the Cronulla Sharks team news here is KL Iro returns as expected. He is playing in the centres. And Hohepapuru Talakai, they are named on the interchange. We've got Billy Burns, Teague Wilton, and Jesse Colquhoun playing in the lock slot. And Fanua Blake and Toby Rudolph are starting. So McInnes, he is out for the rest of the year and probably a good portion of 2026, the inspirational captain. So he is out. And then for the Newcastle Knights, it looks like their 1 down through to 7 is unchanged. And as a matter of fact, Greg Marzu is named on the reserves there. Jack Hetherington's floating around. and that's just about it. So it's an unchanged lineup from the one that got belted by Brisbane last weekend, and this is the second last game for Adam O'Brien, I think. I think he'll be coaching the last 2 games, but there's been conflicting reports over the past 24, 48 hours. In any event, Cronulla Southland Sharks 13+. And the final game of round number 26 is from Suncorp Stadium. The Dolphins versus the Gold Coast Titans. Dolphins, they are $1.53. The Titans, they are $2.50. If the Roosters win on Friday, I don't think that rules out the Dolphins' chances. If the Roosters win, the Dolphins are still alive up until kickoff. Dolphins must win. They must win the couple of remaining games. That's the mind frame that they've got to be in for the final fortnight for the home and away regular season. And they are still a chance after that surprise upset loss by the Roosters because of the Parramatta Eels. So the Dolphins team list here is Trey Fuller, Azarko and Nafahu, the back 3. Hammer and Avarillo are the centres. Nikorima and Katoa, the halves. And the forward pack for them is Lemuelu, Kelly, Akili and Donahue, Tower, Stone, Nichols and Kerr. That is the interchange. For the Gold Coast Titans, they are trying to win to get level on competition points with the Newcastle Knights, who have a worse for and against than the Gold Coast Titans. So they're trying to avoid the wooden spoon here, the Gold Coast Titans. And going into the interchange, Kinney, Haas, Josh Paxton. Nice to see that Carter Gordon has been named on the reserves there for the Gold Coast Titans. Look, on paper, we've all been saying that the Titans, or at least the start of the year anyway, that they're a shot to make the top 8. And on paper, they don't look bad at all. They don't. But there's too much to play here for the Dolphins, 100%. Don't trust the Gold Coast Titans. I'm going to say the Dolphins win this one, 1-12. Howdy guys, thank you very much for your continuing support. Apologies for the lateness of this video, but work commitments, work schedule, it is what it is. But I'm glad that I could get this out to you, and I hope you enjoyed the listen. Thank you very much. Take care. Adios.